boss steal your idea in a workplace setting? Isn't it just frustrating, right? Well, what did you do? Well, if you're not sure what to do, this is the very, very, very best video I can share with you today. Because in this video, I'm going to share with you what you need to do when your boss takes your idea or takes credit for your idea. And I'm going to also share with you how to prevent this from happening in the future. Now, before I go into this live, this is actually a topic that was requested by a wonderful subscriber named the Forensic Accountant. And the Forensic Accountant asked specifically, what do you do when your boss steals your idea? This is a topic that is not discussed that much on YouTube. Why? Because oftentimes people are not really sure of how to even manage very complicated situations like this. So if you like this topic and you like this information so far, then this is going to be a video that you will want to watch to the very end. And I want to know from you all that are watching, has this ever happened to you before? Has it? And if it has, what did you do? How did you manage this situation? Because I know when this happened to me personally, it was very offsetting. I was caught off guard. And it happened to me once early in my career, and then it happened again to me a bit later. But when I had this experience happen later, I knew exactly what to do, which I'm going to share with you in this video today. Now, this is a live video. So if you're watching this point of the video right now, this portion of the video right now, you are watching the replay, and I am so grateful that you are here today. Thank you for spending some time with me today. There's typically a portion of live where the attendees will join the live, and if you give me just a few moments, let me say hello to everyone that's joining live, introduce myself and say hello and answer any questions, and then we'll get right into what you can do if your boss takes credit and steals your idea. Now, I do want to make a disclaimer. Many of you that have been watching my videos for a while now, I have been under the weather for the past week, and so I missed my live last Friday. As I mentioned, I normally would not miss a live unless something catastrophic happened, and it did. I was not feeling well. Therefore, I want to make sure I'm here to support you all on your journey. If you're ready to learn more about this very complicated, very delicate topic that is not talked about, and you want to learn some real strategies today, then you are in the best place to be. All right, so hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining today. If you want to learn how to deal with this complicated situation when your boss has done something horrible, okay, your boss has taken your idea, then you want to watch this video until the end, because if your boss is taking your idea, you need to be equipped with enough knowledge to be able to handle it. So if you like this information so far, then feel free to subscribe to the channel. I talk about complicated, real life, real scenario situations that happen to leaders all of the time. This is what I do on this channel. So if you want to get ahead of your peers and speak at a higher level than them, then feel free to ask me any questions. All right, let me say hello. Soccer TV1, hello. Cod, hello. Welcome. Domenico. Venancio Velar, hello. Welcome. Cod, hello. This is a more of a serious topic, so I would say for Cod, what you typed is not appropriate for this topic. We talk about serious things here. We don't talk about words like that. So appreciate you joining the live, but this is more for our advanced audience that is really trying to elevate themselves and deal with more complicated situations. So Cod, sorry, this isn't the place for you. Hope you have a good time looking at other videos and trying to distract them and trying to troll. But I do want to say hello to Austin Riley Fan 27. Hello, welcome. Cod, yes. Thank you, Austin Riley. I appreciate that. Cod, Austin Riley said, Cod, that's rude. I'm not going to say the word that Cod has on here. We just know that Cod is definitely somebody that's not on any of our levels by any means whatsoever. Jasmine Williams, hello, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. For those of you who are here, with the exception of Cod, because Cod is hopefully not here anymore, I want to ask you, where are you joining from? Where are you joining from in this big, beautiful world today? I want to give a shout out to Forensic Accountant for this topic specifically, because if you've ever been in this situation where your boss is taking your idea, it's hard, right? You're not exactly sure what to do, but in this video, I'm going to show you not only what you should do to help recover yourself, but then I'm also going to show you what you need to do to prevent this from happening in the future. So if you're ready to learn more about this, let me know in the comments below. Let me know where you're joining from, and let me know if this has ever happened to you or any questions you have. As I mentioned earlier, before many of you joined, I've been under the weather, so my voice is not the same as it normally is. So therefore, just please forgive me. I'm sorry, I'm a little under the weather. My voice is normally not this low, unless I'm having a serious conversation, which you would know if you've watched a couple of my videos. Now, if your boss has ever taken credit for your idea, ever, before, it's offsetting, right? And it's very frustrating. So why do bosses do things like this? Okay, so let me tell you, from my over 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director, why bosses take credit for your idea. So we're going to go into a structure. Why do bosses take credit for your idea? We're going to talk about what you do when your boss takes your idea, and then we're also going to talk about how to prevent this from happening. So if this is something you like and you want to learn more about, then let me know in the comments below what questions you have. I'm here to support you. So the reason why bosses tend to take your idea, the very first reason, and I'm going to tell you this quite candidly, is because you have a very, 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 that's a very, very good idea. That means the idea that you have is completely fantastic, and this is definitely the type of idea that helps your boss to elevate themselves in their specific career, and it is at your expense. So basically, you have came up with an exceptional idea, a very innovative idea, and your boss just loves it so much that your boss couldn't figure it out him or herself, and they decide that I'm just going to take this idea from my coworker, my employee, and use it as my own. That is the number one reason why bosses do things like this. That means your boss is a bit envious of your skill set, and they want to basically ride your coattails, as we say here, to make sure that they are taking credit for something that you actually came up with. Now, I do want to also say another reason why bosses will take credit for your ideas is that they are intimidated by you. They're intimidated by something that you're doing, and it's a little intimidating, so they want to make sure that they are the ones that look like they're the strongest individual in the room versus you. And this personally has happened to me many times, leaders. Many times in my career. It's happened when I was very early on in my career, and it happened to me later in my career also. And so I do want to say that when you are subscribed to my channel and you're watching this content and you're really elevating yourself, how you're communicating as a leader, people will start to watch you more carefully. They will start to pay more attention to you because you just automatically stand out. So if you want to stand out from everybody else as a leader, then feel free to subscribe to the channel and learn as much as you can from me. So before I go into what to do when this actually happens, I want to take a look at the chat. Domenico, hello. Domenico said, too gorgeous. Well, thank you, Domenico. I appreciate that. Feel free to let me know where you all are joining from in this big, beautiful world today. Now, let me know in the comments below, have you ever been in a situation where your boss has taken your idea? Let me know in the comments below. As I mentioned, I'm the first one to say, yes, this has happened to me. And this is a special shout out to a forensic accountant, because forensic accountant wanted me to do a live video on this. If you have a specific topic that you've dealt with that's been very complicated, especially in a professional setting as a woman in leadership or as a man in leadership, I'm here to support you on your journey. My primary audience that I work with specifically are women in leadership. But as many of you know, on my channel, I have men in leadership, women in leadership. I'm here to support all of you on your journey because leadership transcends gender, and I'm here just to help you on your journey. If you have a specific topic that you want to learn a bit more about, then let me know in the comments below, and I will be happy to record a video just for you, just like I'm doing right now for the forensic accountant. Now, I do want to go into what to do when this happens. So what do you do? What do you do when your boss is taking your idea? The first reaction that most of us have to do is what? Our first reaction is to say, I'm going to confront my boss. My boss knows that he or she should not have taken my idea. Now, I want to encourage you to just pause for just a second. Let's think of a strategy on how to deal with this. If you have to confront someone, majority of the time, there is some emotion that's attached to it. And if you're trying to set yourself up as that leader and you're showcasing your executive presence, one of the things that I teach on my channel here is you have to learn how to control what's going on in your mind and what comes out of your mouth. Because if you're unable to control your emotions, it makes it very, very difficult for you to really present that very polished, very concise version of yourself all of the time. Now, your first thought may be, I want to confront my boss. I have to confront my boss. I have to confront my boss. Well, you don't want to necessarily do that just yet. I would say pause on that. What you can do when your boss is taking your idea is to develop a strategy around how can you do damage control with this situation. So one of the first things I tell my clients to do, and what I have personally have done in the past that I've found to be successful, is when your boss is taking your idea, you need to figure out who are the real, and I mean real, decision makers in your organization. So specifically, you may have a boss, but your boss may not be the one making the decisions. Majority of the time, there's somebody else that probably is. And when I say someone else, you may be wondering, well, who else would be making decisions? This is where we're going to go to that higher level strategy. So you want to engage and find out who really makes the decisions. Who is your boss's boss? That's where I would start. Oftentimes, if you're working for other organizations, you may have external stakeholders, board members, trustees, or other individuals that have a very significant influence on your specific boss. And the reason why I mention you have to determine who the real decision makers are is because this is how you're going to be able to recover and do damage control from your boss taking your idea. So let's go even further. Let's develop an even more sophisticated strategy to deal with this. Are you ready? Let me know in the comments below if this information is helpful. I hope that it is, because this topic is something that people don't really talk about a lot on YouTube, but this is a real channel here where we talk about real situations that actually really do happen. Now let's go further. We've found out who the decision makers are. Let's say it's a board member, trustee, a partner, a stakeholder, somebody. You know who your boss's boss is. So your next step is to find some time to communicate with that particular person or individuals, whoever they are. Why? The purpose of you meeting with these individuals is not to talk about your boss. It is not to talk about your boss. It is not to tell your boss that, or tell them that, you know what, my boss took my idea and I'm really frustrated and I don't know what to do. No, this is not the opportunity for you to do that. This is an opportunity for you to establish rapport with these individuals and talk a bit more in detail about this project that your boss may not have the knowledge to do about your specific idea that they took. Majority of the time, what I have found that happens is when someone steals your idea, your boss, for instance, in this video, steals your idea, there's a certain amount of depth and knowledge that your boss does not have as it relates to the idea, because your boss is not the originator of the idea. You are the originator of the idea. And because you are the originator of the idea, you have a lot more knowledge, you have a lot more expertise as it relates to this specific idea that your boss will not be able to articulate, because you are not, he or she is not the originator of the idea. Therefore, when you have those individuals that are going to have a big influence on your boss, and they are potentially your boss's boss, if you talk more about this project in a level of detail that your boss has not been able to articulate to them, it automatically makes you stand out as a person. And those individuals, I'm sure, are very intelligent, and they will start to wonder, well, whose idea was this anyways? I say this because this has happened to me. I have done this before when my idea was taken by a boss. And when you're able to speak at that higher level and articulate yourself more in detail about the project, then a lot of times people will pick up on it quickly. People are a lot smarter than you think they are. And they will pick up and say, you know what, I think this particular person may have known a little bit more about this idea than what the boss said. Okay, so before I go into more on this, I want to say hello to Lennon Vimpati Doctor. Hello, welcome, welcome. Lennon is saying good morning. Well, good morning, Lennon. It is evening time here. I'm based out of the United States. And Lennon is from India. Fantastic, awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining today. Feel free to ask me any questions as it relates to this topic specifically. If you've ever had your idea taken from your boss, I know it's frustrating, but I'm sharing with you some very high level, sophisticated strategies on how you can communicate this type of situation that happens. So if you like it, feel free to join us here and subscribe to the channel to learn a lot more, and I will support you and help you as best I can. So we talked about this is what we're doing in terms of when this happens. Your boss is taking your idea, has done it publicly. You don't confront your boss. You work privately. And this is what people do all the time, especially in large corporations, political officials. I've interacted with many political officials over the years, so I understand how the conversations go. So there's just a way you have to find out who these decision makers are first. Then schedule time or find out ways to have conversation with them about random things or a project that would be of interest to them. And then mention very briefly about the project your boss took. But you don't necessarily need to say, my boss took my idea. You don't need to say that. All you need to do is say that, oh, there's a really interesting project that's out there right now. And then tell them, show them that you have the higher level knowledge about the project. And people will start to intuitively think, this person knows a lot more about this project than the boss did. I am sharing with you, this really does work. And it starts to create a conversation in those inner circles about, well, who really knew this project? Who really does know this project? And this will help you if this situation has happened when your boss is taking your idea. Now, before I go into a few ways in terms of other strategies to help you, I want to say hello to Dits Yakuza. Hello, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. Feel free to let me know what part of the world you are joining from today. Now, we've talked about the decision makers. Find out who is really making decisions in your organization and have conversations with them. It could be one person. It could be multiple people. It could be a team. You have to have conversation with these individuals, but your conversations should not be completely focused on the idea that your boss took from you. It should not be completely focused on that. It should be completely focused on a topic that is of interest to that individual. And if you don't know a topic that is of interest to that individual, then ask around and then find out if there is a possibility you can schedule some time to speak with them about this particular project. Bring your insight and then just very, very subtly allude to what you know about this new project that's being launched, that was also taken from you in terms of the credit, and start to create that buzz from there. You do that. This is very, very high level strategy because you have to be very, very patient when it comes to these type of very complicated situations that happen. Most of the time, people do not have the patience to do this. They do not have the patience to say, I can wait, I can wait, I can wait. This is something that I really work with my clients on. When you have these situations happening, your boss takes your idea, it is very much a very visceral, just like emotional response. You're not happy about it whatsoever. But if you can play the patient game and be very strategic in terms of how you're communicating, when you communicate, how you communicate, this is the reason why you will stand out from everybody else. And people will start to know your boss did not come up with this idea. You did. And you may be wondering, how do you know this is true? This happened to me. And I did the exact same type of scenario. And this is something that will absolutely help you when this occurs. Now, before I go into how you can prevent this from happening, I want to say hello, Domenico. Okay, that smile should be illegal. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. So I do want to share with you, how can you prevent this from happening? How can you prevent your boss from taking your idea? Are you ready? This is the prevention. We like to try to prevent as much catastrophe as we can as leaders, correct? The best way to prevent your boss from taking your idea is that you have to be very, very, very vocal about your project, but you don't have to go into a ton of detail with it. You want to do this type of very strategic communication about your project before your boss tries to take it in a very public and private settings. Now, specifically, this is what I would highly recommend for you to be able to do. So if you have a special project and you know this is something that's going to be very, very beneficial for your business or your organization or whatever role you're in, then determine what can you share about this project, just enough to add some curiosity about it, but not go into detail on the project, not give away all the details on it just yet. It could be a new product that you're launching. It could be a new service that you're going to promote. It could be a new innovation that you are researching. You want to say this type of project anytime that you can in a public or in a private setting. How do you do this? Listen to what people are talking about. That's one of the most important skills that you can have as a leader, is to listen to what people are saying. You are going to be able to ascertain so much information from other people by listening with your ears and observing with your eyes. You will learn a lot. And anytime someone brings up a topic that is somewhat even closely related to your project, that's when you want to raise your hand and interject and say, that is a really good point. There is you could say a special project. There is a wonderful initiative. There is a phenomenal service I'm going to be offering that is going to address this particular topic that was just brought up. What did I just do? I just mentioned the topic. I mentioned the topic very briefly, but I didn't just mention it and say, oh, I'm working on this. No. If you really want to try to communicate at the higher level than your peers, which is why I hope that you're subscribed to my channel, you have to say certain words to provide a sense of life and energy and buzz around your specific project. If you say words like fantastic, phenomenal, exciting, groundbreaking, project, people are going to want to know, well, what project is he or she working on? Because you're not going into detail, but you're talking about it. So when you do this, you are basically letting everyone know publicly, I have a project that I'm working on. And this is the project. This is how amazing it's going to be. It's going to be very helpful. Now, your boss cannot take the idea because you have already claimed the idea as yours. As I mentioned, this is the way that you prevent your boss from taking your idea. And we talked briefly about why bosses will take your idea. We've talked about what to do when bosses take your idea. You have to start having those private conversations and introducing your specific level of expertise that your boss probably doesn't know because your boss was not the originator of the idea like you were. And we've also talked about what can you do to prevent this from happening. So I mentioned in a public setting, if you have a meeting with someone, the same type of conversation I mentioned publicly is what I would do privately also. So if you are having a conversation with someone who, let's say, is not a decision maker, like we talked about at the very beginning of this live, then just mention it to them the same way I did in a public setting. You want to basically spend more time communicating this with your peers as a whole, the project that you're working on, if your boss has a history of just taking credit for your project. So you want to communicate with your peers, talk to them, let them know what's going on, and create that buzz around your project. If you have a good relationship with some of those real decision makers, like the stakeholders, the trustees, your boards, and etc., then you may want to have a conversation there and just mention it very briefly that you're working on a project. You don't necessarily, there's always a balance when you are an employee and you have a boss and you have a fantastic idea, because you don't know if your boss is going to take it or not. And I'll say what happened in my case. I had an idea, and this is early on in my career, And my idea was a very good idea. It was a good idea that I thought was going to be helping an organization I was working with at the time. And my boss at the time took my idea and stole it and claimed that he, at the time, was the originator idea, and said that, oh, he'd been thinking about it for a while and wanted to introduce you. So what did I do? This is just my personal scenario. This is my personal story that happened to me that I want to share with y'all. So when my boss took my idea, I was early in my career, and I didn't confront my boss. I thought to myself, what should I do in this situation? I talked to a good friend of mine, which I'm still friends with to this day, and I spoke with her about it, and I let her know my boss took my idea, and actually my friend knew this was my idea. And I said, well, what should I do? And she had told me, she recommended me to really think about it, because there's always office politics. And this is definitely a hot topic for office politics that I'm sharing with you right now. But she mentioned to me, maybe you should just talk to him about it. But I felt in my mind, after he took my idea, there's not much to talk about, because this person is obviously not a friendly, they're potentially a foe, and they're taking my ideas, and that's not okay when I'm trying to make a way for myself in the organization also. What I decided to do was I had a private conversation with, at that time, was the CEO of the organization. And I didn't have a conversation specifically about the idea. I didn't say, hello, CEO, I want to talk with you about the specific idea that my boss took away from me. He's taking the credit for it, and I want to talk to you about it. I didn't go in there in that way. If you go to these stakeholders or these individuals who are the real decision makers and start talking like that, it comes across as you are, and I hate to say this, but it's just reality, and I'll tell you real talk here. It comes across as you are whining. And you don't want to come across as the person that's whining. You want to come across as the person that is the executive that is having a very intelligent conversation with someone about something else. And then let the idea that was taken be mentioned very subtly, not as the main focus of your conversation, but very subtly to help you with that. So what did I do? So I talked to the CEO. I had a conversation with the CEO about a different project that was directly related to an outcome they were trying to accomplish within the organization at that particular time. And I talked to the CEO about it, and I said, look, there is this project that I am developing, would like to get your insight on it as it relates to how it can improve this metric with the organization, and want to get your thoughts. So we had a nice discussion about the project and etc. Then toward the end of the conversation, I subtly mentioned about this other idea. And I talked about it. I said, there's a really very interesting project that was mentioned, and I have some additional insight in this project and would like to be able to talk to you a bit about it. And I went into the specifics, the higher level, the detail that only I knew about the project, or I knew about the idea because I was the originator. My boss was not. And so what happened is, after I had that conversation with my CEO, and we had a nice discussion about it, there was a buzz going around the office that I worked for at the time, that there was something going on about a project, and they weren't quite sure who knew more about the project. Was it the boss? Was it my boss that knew more about it? Or was it Jacinta that knew more about it? And people could kind of tell that I knew a lot more about the project just by the way I spoke about it. And so I kept that message, the same message, every time when I spoke to someone that was in a senior leadership role like me, that was a peer, or that might have been in a higher level role. When I interacted with him, I talked about that project in that level of detail. I kept my message the same. It's like, this is the story, and this is what we're going to be saying. And with that, people started to pick up and say, oh, I remember that Jacinta mentioned about this particular project, and she talked about it in a lot of detail. They started to ask questions to my boss about it, because remember, my boss took my idea, right? My boss took my idea, claimed that he was the originator of my idea, which he was not. When they started asking those level of detailed questions based on what I had been telling people specifically, this was my story, this is what I'm saying, people started to ask my boss the questions that required a bit more detail based on what I said. And do you know what happened? What happened, leaders? My boss stumbled with those responses because he did not have the level of knowledge that I had about this specific project. He just did not have it. And people picked up on it quickly, leaders, very, very fast. And they said, wait a second, something doesn't seem right. Why does Jacinta know more about this than the boss? Whose idea was this? And it came full circle, back around to where the boss took my idea, but I was the one that actually started it. Now, this is a true story. This actually really did happen to me. And this can happen to you too. This is a great way for you to create your damage control when someone tries to damage your reputation in this way. Now, there's many, many, many more videos I can talk to you about as it relates to protecting your reputation at work. I have been in situations where I've been in very friendly situations, very contentious situations. I have been thrown under the bus, ran back over, stabbed in the back, all of those things. And I know as a leader, it's very, very difficult to be able to manage these situations because sometimes we just don't know what to do. Well, feel free to ask me any questions. I'll be able to guide you as best I can. Feel free to learn from my over 20 years experience in these type of very higher level senior leadership roles in bigger organizations to help you be able to fast track your success. Now, if this information sounds very helpful to you and you like the content so far, then as I mentioned before, you're welcome to subscribe to the channel. I talk about very complicated situations like this all the time. My main focus is to help you be able to communicate at that higher level. And oftentimes when we are in our leadership roles, we don't know what to say or how to say it. And my philosophy is that people become great by how they communicate. And if you can communicate at a higher level than your peers, then we can unlock your greatness. So if this is something that you want to do and you're ready to really become more of a concise communicator, you're a woman in leadership, and you're trying to just develop yourself or you're trying to do a lot more, then reach out to me for a strategy session in the description below. We'll talk a bit about where you are, where you want to be, what are some challenges you're facing, and how I can potentially help you on your journey. Or if I feel like I may need to be able to refer you to another colleague of mine, then I will. But if you are really trying to advance yourself as a leader, this is really the best place for you. I'm going to provide you with as much insight as I can and support you on your journey. As I mentioned earlier, this content transcends gender. So regardless if you're a woman in leadership, man in leadership, these are situations that people deal with all of the time and they're not exactly sure how to manage them, which is why we talk about real situations, real strategies, and circumstances that actually happen in the real world. This channel is not about theories. I'm not talking about leadership models and hypotheses as some other influencers do. I talk about what really happens, what actually can happen, and how to develop strategies to help you on that. So if you like this information, then feel free to like this video. It does help other people learn more about it. And I want to give another shout out again to the forensic accountant. This was a fantastic topic. I'm glad that you mentioned it, and I appreciate your engagement in many of my videos. I hope this information is very helpful to you. And for those of you who are still watching, I appreciate you being here. And let me know how I can help you. How can I assist you? How can I really help you go to that next level in your career if you are facing some very challenging situations? People come to me for the hard things. So if you have something very challenging going on in your life right now, as a leader, as a professional, and you're in either at the beginning of your leadership journey, or maybe you're a senior executive or senior leader, and you're maybe trying to uncover your executive presence or really try to elevate how you're communicating or get into a higher level position, then come to me with the hard things. I do easy situations too, but most of the time when I talk to colleagues and talk to my clients, I'm usually dealing with the very more complicated situations that happen, and that's just my expertise. That's why I'm here to help you. I've been in these situations, and that's why I can deal with the hard situations, because I've dealt with them all the time. But I appreciate you all so much for your support, and another video that will actually help you as it relates to this specific topic is a video that talks a bit more about how you can think on your feet. There's a video here on my live channel that talks about thinking on your feet. Another video that will help you, that I would recommend for you to take a look at, is any video on my channel that talks about eye contact. Eye contact is extremely important here. And then also being able to listen, because when you listen, you can actually be able to phrase your response based on what is being said, depending on what you hear. Then you can rephrase it and adjust it as needed. I do have some big wins on the business side that I am going to be posting about very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. I do have another way for you all to communicate with me. I have a business line. Excuse me, my business has been growing quite a bit. And so I'm at the point where I'm ready to expand, and I have a way that you can communicate with me directly. You're also welcome to communicate with me at Excite Excellence on LinkedIn. On Instagram. Dr. Jacinta Lamantai on LinkedIn. And of course, here on YouTube as well. This is where I spend most of my time. So you have ways to get in contact with me. If you have questions or you want to get some support, you're really ready to really get to that next level in your career, and you're tired of feeling just stuck and not being able to communicate at that higher level or speak concisely or speak without being nervous, or you want to be a better public speaker, a better leader, better executive, all of those wonderful things, then just reach out to me. I'll support you as best I can on my channel. And then if you want one-on-one support, then just contact me for a strategy session listed below. It is complimentary for the time being, but will not be like that for too much longer. So make sure you reach out to me when you can. Even if we do not work together, you're going to gain a lot of value out of the session and learn some strategies to help you move forward on your journey. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the next live video. I have many, many topics to talk about, but I want to hear from you. What do you want to learn about? What are some topics that are really pressing you right now as it relates to anything leadership related? Perhaps you're in the interview phase right now. You're thinking about your resume. Maybe you are in a very complicated situation professionally. You're dealing with some serious office politics and you're not sure how to navigate it. Or maybe you just want to speak more concisely. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know. I'll be happy to support you on your journey. So I'll see you all in the next video, and stay tuned for my announcements for this week, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.